You're watching the
Fox tonight. Several large protests happening across the valley tonight. 2 in Phoenix and another one happening in Chandler. Fox 10's Matt Rodewald covering the protest at the Arizona State Capitol, where they've had barriers there for days. But first, we start with Matt Galka, who has been covering protests in downtown Phoenix for the past several days. Matt, quite a different story there tonight.
Yeah, Mark, for the second night in a row, it appears that we've had a completely peaceful protest. At least it was completely peaceful out here at 6th Avenue and Adams. Now, the march we saw and we participated in, if you were with us at the 6 o'clock hour, probably the largest one we've seen so far. I've seen some estimates on Twitter that it was double the size of previous nights. But again, peaceful here at what has become a focal point, 6th Avenue and Adams behind me, right next to the Phoenix Police Department. But when the curfew hit, the crowds went home. It looked to be the biggest march we've seen so far, from the ground and from the air. For a 6th day, a group filled downtown Phoenix streets, chanting George Floyd's name.
I'm a Christian, and I'm adopted, and my family is white, so I feel like I really have the best of both worlds. But at the same time, you know, I felt fear recently, and it's just been an unsettling feeling. And so this is pretty impressive. The unity makes me feel, it's overwhelming. It makes me want to cry, honestly.
And then it was taken to the back of the police station. The crowd was passionate. The police were steadfast. But there was no escalation. At 8 o'clock, it was over. Earlier in the day, A.P. Powell, a community leader in South Phoenix, said he thinks the protest will continue, led by young people with a lot of energy.
I think it's not going to end till the other 3 officers are charged in Minnesota. I've seen these protests go on, and I hate that this happened this way it happened, but it's not going to stop until those other 3 officers are charged. I mean, every night you're going to see this, because this is a young generation. They're coming out repeatedly every night, and they come out in the daytime, some they come out at night, and you're just going to see this all over the country until justice is served.
Now back out live now, you could probably still see that large police presence behind me. They've been blocking off a lot of the routes that lead to the police station. Now, one of the things Powell did say about that younger generation that we definitely saw fully on display tonight, he'd like to see them come to the table more. He actually runs a forum, a community meeting police forum. He'd love to see more young people there. And if you're wondering, yesterday we had a demonstration from some of the police officers, the crowd asking them to take a knee. Nothing like that happened tonight, but again, peaceful where we're at. We're live tonight. Matt Galka, Fox 10 News.
This was the scene in Chandler near Arizona Avenue and Chandler Boulevard. About 100 people were lined up out on the street there, holding signs and chanting George Floyd's name. Again, another peaceful protest as well. Many of the folks waited right until the curfew had ended to head home. But again, no problems out there tonight in Chandler. And this afternoon, a large group consisting of religious groups, faith leaders, marched down to the steps of the state capitol to hold a peaceful protest of their own. Fox 10's Matt Rodewald was there, and he joins us live now with how that protest went. Matt.
Well, it went just fine, Mark. That's the big key here. And if you heard Matt's report there and you saw the pictures from Chandler, we've certainly turned a corner in the tone of these protests, whether they're marches or what we had here was a rally. And I want you to look down the street here. You can see where that crosswalk sign is to the right. That's kind of where everything was centrally focused earlier this evening. About 2,000 folks or so gathering in that spot, listening to music, listening to speeches, listening to sermons, sermon-type speeches, so to speak, to understand and try and come up with an understanding about the incidents and how they've impacted them over the years, and particularly how the one that happened last week in Minneapolis played suit. Just let me show you some video if you're not looking at it already. A good 2,000 or so is an easy estimate in terms of who is down here at the Arizona State Capitol, pretty much on 17th Avenue. Obviously, the double fencing over by the State Capitol is in effect, but nobody really approached that. That was definitely not the focus of this. Maybe no one was within 10 feet of that fence throughout much of the conversation. That happened a good 2 hours or so. And then 7:30 hit, and the leaders of the rally basically said, it's time to go home, with the mention of COVID-19 hanging over everyone's turn left and right. And we talked to some of the people that were the rally goers tonight, and here's what they had to say.
Whenever we have
we listen to God's word, we translate it by looking at it and comparing our lives to it. Does our life look like this word that says love your neighbor? And if it doesn't look like that word, then we have to really think about who we are and the Christ that we represent.
And every neighbor seriously showed a level of diversity that has been reflective of the protests that we've seen really across America, peaceful or not. There has been a tremendous level of diversity in all of these conversations that we have seen nationwide, of course, in the last week. You saw the fencing there, nobody really at the fencing. We've seen patrols inside the state capitol complex, but it's been without incident for the last 2 nights, proving that the curfew is really taking hold. The only statewide curfew across the country has worked so far the last few nights. We're live at the Arizona State Capitol. Matt Rodewald, Fox 10 News.
All right, thank you for that tonight, Matt. People who live in the Garfield neighborhood in Phoenix say they're upset with Phoenix officers for turning their streets into what they say felt like an active war zone. People living there say police cruisers blocked streets, that the officers used pepper spray on people, and created really what they described as a scene of chaos in the Garfield neighborhood Sunday night, as they arrested people for violating the governor's curfew. One man says he recorded police arresting residents who he says didn't even know about the curfew and happened to be out walking to their homes.
Lord knows what was happening, but to go over there, I might get shot, something might happen, there might be miscommunication, it's dark, I'm wearing a mask. So yeah, a lot of confusion, a lot of fear.
Phoenix police arrested more than 200 people on Sunday night. The department released a statement saying the Phoenix Police Department takes claims of misconduct seriously. We've been made aware of these complaints and are looking into them. Residents who have information related to this can report their concerns to the Professional Standards Bureau.
Ever since our inception, it has been focused on social justice. We're working to restore power to local communities. And right now, we're living in unprecedented times where it's more important than ever that we channel the power that we have with our dollars to support the communities.
People continuing to mourn the death of George Floyd while he was in police custody. And tonight, Fox 10's Jennifer Martinez joins us with a story for those who may not want to be protesting but want to do something to help. And Jennifer, a lot of local businesses really need that help right now.
Yeah, they definitely do. So if you don't want to protest, that's totally fine. But the first thing that you can do is to support Black businesses here in the Valley, helping them succeed. Now, I did speak to a business owner in Chandler, and he says that he had a very successful Tuesday. He didn't even think that this was going to happen, so much so that they had to close before 5 o'clock today.
They showed up and showed out for us.
You may have noticed these black boxes throughout your Instagram feed, #BlackoutTuesday, asking people to pause on your social life and post resources and raise awareness. But here in the Valley, people did more than just post on Instagram. And it showed, especially for this locally Black businessman, Christian Brantley, who owns West Alley Barbecue in Chandler.
We ended up running out of food around 4:30. My general manager called me, and we're a barbecue restaurant, so we smoke everything either the day of or prior to the night of. Once we sell it, we sell out. That's it. I definitely thought this was just a regular, coming into this Tuesday when we were pre-gaming and planning for the week, that it was going to be a normal Tuesday for us as far as sales goes. And then all of a sudden, boom, people really show that they're just not, putting up a black box, that they're out there doing something in the community as well and supporting the local Black businesses throughout the Valley.
So how can you at home make locally Black businesses succeed, not just today, but every single day? Thomas Barr with Local First Arizona says be proactive with your money.
The power to spend your dollars with a business that is Black owned is huge. You're helping empower that business and help that business build wealth for themselves. The second thing we're recommending you do is you move your money out of banks that have consistently redlined Black families from receiving home loans and have invested in practices like private prisons and detention centers. These are all systems that have historically and traditionally and continually disproportionately impacted Black communities across the entire country.
And for a full list of Black businesses here in the Valley, you can head over to fox10phoenix.com. Reporting live tonight, I'm Jennifer Martinez with Fox 10 News.
Jennifer, thanks. Still to come, fallout continues from the George Floyd arrest and the new complaints the Minneapolis Police Department is now facing. Plus, it was a news alert we brought you late last night. We'll have it up on the police officer shot at a protest in St. Louis. And in the next half hour, making connections with police, how one black mother turned to authorities to help calm her daughter during a protest. Stay with us.
You know, every once in a while, you do an interview with impressive people who share an impressive message, and that happened today during a turbulent time when I was able to speak to Muhammad Ali's daughter and grandson.
You know, for a long time in this country, we have been made to believe that we are inferior just because of how we were born. What's happening now is not an aberration. This is part of a long lineage of racial discrimination that's been going on in this country for a very long time.
To do the things that we can do, we have to protest peacefully. We have to fill out our census forms. We have to vote. We have to act civically.
It's not okay to just say, I'm not racist and just live on your life. Everybody needs to be an active participant to stand up for what is right, just like my grandfather did many years ago.